Howdy readers, I'm Jason. This is Chapter and Verse, and this is my announcement video for Shaketember 2024. All right, so Shaketember, as many of you know, is a month-long celebration of the playwright and poet William Shakespeare. His works, his life, works about his works and his life as well. It is going to run, as always, through the month of September, and this year, as last year, will be co-hosted by myself and my wife Kelly from the channel Books I'm Not Reading, and Nicole from the channel A Day of Small Things. Shaketember, which had been known initially as Shaketube, was created in the late 20-teens by a handful of booktubers, including my friend Lukas, who is not actively making videos anymore, but his channel, A Cruel Reader's Thesis, to the best of my knowledge, is still there, right? And so you can watch all of his old content, Shakespeare-related and otherwise. So I will link to his channel, as well as Kelly's channel and Nicole's channel. Why Shaketember, right? Why do we have this month-long event celebrating the work of William Shakespeare? So, Shakespeare, as is known by all of you, I'm sure, is widely regarded as the greatest writer in the history of the English language, right? Not just the greatest playwright, but the greatest writer. Not just the greatest poet, but the greatest writer. Okay, his work is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It is alluded to constantly, even today. It is referenced constantly. It is quoted constantly. Kelly and I often talk about how if we had an iced tea jar, okay, on our coffee table, starting January 1st of a given year, if we put a coin in for every time while watching TV, while watching a cooking show, while watching a film, every time we heard a reference to either Charles Dickens or William Shakespeare, that jar would be pretty full by the end of the year. That's how frequently we hear references or allusions to Shakespeare and, like I said, Charles Dickens. It's literally everywhere. And if you don't know the work itself, you won't recognize the references. You won't understand how its use by these contemporary filmmakers, by the hosts of these shows, the actors being interviewed, etc., etc. You can't possibly know how the use of it or the reference to it is lending glamour or meaning to what is being discussed or what's being explored or the jokes being told. So by knowing the work, your understanding of the meaning of the contemporary art that you're engaging with is deepened, and and all of a sudden it becomes this kind of interplay between the past and the present, and that by itself is reason enough to want to learn more Shakespeare, to study Shakespeare, to dive into the glorious swimming galaxy that is the work of William Shakespeare. To know the cultural touchstones of the world, which the works of Shakespeare are, is to be a better citizen of the world. And I think we can all agree that being better citizens of the world right now would benefit all of us. If we just spent a little more time trying to be better people, trying to be more learned people, right? Walking our paths through life. There's just I don't know. I feel like there's genuinely something sad about the fact that there are so many people who just don't seem, to have any sense or to have much sense of their cultural history. It's as though they're, incurious about it somehow. We went to a fundraising dinner, and I might have told this story on my channel before, I don't know. But we went to a fundraising dinner some years ago, and we were at a table with a client of mine, right, who I'm friendly with. You know, he's a good guy. He's university educated, right? I think he's got a bachelor's degree in geology, and something came up in conversation that had nothing to do with Shakespeare, but it reminded me of something from Hamlet, and I just casually brought up Hamlet in the context of this, and he looked at me and he said, who wrote Hamlet? And I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked by that, and I hope anyway my face didn't reveal how aghast I was that he seemed authentically to have no idea who had written Hamlet. But yeah, I said William Shakespeare wrote Hamlet, and he said, did he? He said he's the guy who wrote Romeo and Juliet, right? And I just couldn't believe what I was hearing, you know. And I remember thinking, even in the moment, if he had known Hamlet, he would have understood my reference of it, and it would have deepened and kind of refreshingly complicated his understanding of what we were discussing aside from Hamlet as well. And so this is part of why we do it, right? But it's not the only reason that we do it. It just enriches our lives in ways that we can't even really anticipate, and in ways or to degrees which, after it's happened, we can't maybe even fully appreciate. It's something that unfolds itself over time, that's a beautiful thing. So this is why we read Shakespeare. The other thing that I have written down here is, and when we read books together, and we know this from our time in the community that is Booktube, and when we read books together and discuss them and their contexts with each other, we understand them better, okay? And Shakespeare is difficult to understand. There'll be people who will tell you that's not true. It is true. Shakespeare is difficult to understand, even for those of us who have been reading and studying him for decades. But when we do it together, as we do during Shaketember, it's easier. The tragedies in the work, the humor in the work, it all just resonates more when we've come to deeper, more complicated understandings, and we come to those understandings when we read it in company with each other and in conversation with each other, and so that's the point, really, I suppose. Now, to participate in Shaketember, you can choose whatever Shakespeare you want to read, right? You don't have to technically read along with us. You can choose his long poems, you can choose his sonnets, you can choose any of his plays, right? And there are an awful lot of them. Or you can watch film adaptations of his work. You can read a biography of Shakespeare. There are plenty of good ones out there. You can read criticism in conjunction maybe with some of his plays. You can read any one of the many, many novels that have been inspired by or based on any of his plays. Just read anything from Shakespeare or related to Shakespeare during the month, and you'll be participating. Now, if you want to read with us, Kelly's going to be reading Twelfth Night and Macbeth. Nicole's going to be reading Cymbeline and King Lear. And I will be reading Titus Andronicus. And for those of you who know me well, or who've been watching my videos, my Shakespeare videos for years now, could probably guess that my second play is going to be The Tempest. Right, Shakespeare's The Tempest. I will have my video on Titus Andronicus up on the weekend of September 7th, and my video on The Tempest up on the weekend of September 21st. And then, on the final weekend, of September, on the weekend of September 28th, I am going to put up a video on the Julie Taymor. All right, the director Julie Taymor has made films of Titus and The Tempest. So, like me, she is fascinated by what these two plays have to say to each other. And while she has directed other Shakespeare for the stage, including a filmed stage production of A Midsummer Night's Dream, the only two true cinematic adaptations of Shakespeare's work she has done are Titus with Anthony Hopkins and The Tempest with Helen Mirren. So, that will be my final video of the month. But read along with us. Again, read selections of your own, or join in with us with the plays that we've decided on. And if you have a channel, make videos of your own. Or if you don't have a channel, join in the comment sections below our videos, and let's get some dialogue going during the month of September for Shaketember. Anyhow, feel free to let me know what you're planning to read in the comments below this video. And be sure to check out Kelly's announcement video and Nicole's announcement video. I will link to them below. And yeah, let's have some fun with the Bard in the coming weeks. So yeah, until next time, adios.